I have the 2024 Ford Raptor and 24 Chevy Silverado ZR2. And in this video, we're going to compare acceleration and MPG. I borrowed these trucks from Jerry Seiner, Chevrolet, and Larry H. Miller's Super Ford, both here in Salt Lake City. Both of these trucks are available for sale. Be sure to check out the inventory. Let's get into it. Let's go ahead and get down the road. Hope you guys like my new camera. I probably have a few videos I haven't posted before this one that I did not use this in, so I just wanted to start off with this video because this is kind of a cool truck, and of course the Raptor is a pretty cool truck to see this camera view here. So if you don't know, this is the diesel. It comes standard. Let's talk about some of the performance this engine has. Under the hood of the ZR2 is the 3-liter Duramax diesel. This engine is going to have 305 horsepower, 495 pound-feet of torque. It is the standard engine now. All that power goes through a 10-speed transmission and a 321 rear end. Let's see how this truck performs. I had a little bit of a technical difficulty, guys. I did reset the MPG. I have not done the 0 to 60 yet, so unfortunately, when you are dealing with new stuff, new tech, always expected to be some issues. That's why I tested this way before I did these videos, because I just knew there was something. So the hood on the truck is really hot, and I want to say that might have affected the suction cups there, but we've already driven about 5 miles almost, and we've gotten 25.2 MPG. As far as the RPMs go, hopefully you guys will see, at 70 miles an hour, we're like just under 1500 RPM. So they do use higher gearing on the ZR2s. I've always wondered why they did that. I think that would be better. I mean, this is just me thinking out loud, but I think it would be better if they offered that 342 rear end. And another thing is, I would like to see 35-inch tires. I mean, hey, I think GM could really bring this truck to a whole new level if they offer this with 35s. You can get 35s on the ZR2 Colorado AEV edition, but on this truck, it's just 33s. Now, don't get me wrong, the 33s are a cheaper tire, and they do ride extremely well. They have low road noise, for sure. I feel as though this truck does do the trick. I mean, I think this is the perfect package. If anyone is looking for a truck and you do a lot of highway driving, I would not look anywhere else. I wouldn't get a Toyota TRD Pro. I wouldn't get the Ram Rebel or even the Ford Tremor or Raptor. I think that if you're on the highway a lot, that's why you would get this truck. I mean, it rides extremely well, and you get a well-appointed interior. It's just the best of the best in my opinion. But we're at the midpoint here. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys where we are for the fuel economy, and then we'll reconvene the opposite direction here. So here's where we are. We're at 25.8 MPG, and it's just gonna keep going up because we're coasting down here. And yeah, we're pretty much at 26.3. Now on the window sticker, it says 2220, and I'm not sure why they lower the number for this truck. It's going to get worse for sure compared to the others because of how heavy this truck is, and there's just a lot of other variations. You know, obviously the off-road bumpers, the tires are a little bit more knobbier, so you're gonna take a small hit with fuel economy there. And the weight, this truck's heavier. This truck is definitely heavier, but you know, hey, I think that you can still get an easy 25 miles to the gallon, maybe a little bit higher, not much higher, but I have noticed in the past driving these trucks, it does take a hit when you get the ZR2 package, and even the Trail Boss package, it will take a small hit too. But let me see if I can set up my draggy here for a 0 to 60, and then I'll show you guys those numbers next. Here we go. That wasn't bad for a diesel. You have to understand, this truck is way down on horsepower, right? I mean, the torque is nice when you're towing, when you're going up steep grades, or really, if you're even rock climbing, that having that turbo, especially if you brake boost it a little bit, I mean, you can really get out of some sticky situations once a diesel builds power. I mean, that turbo kicks in, it's gonna go. But the reason why you don't really care too much about the acceleration is because, well, you're gonna get that better fuel economy. That's the beauty about having a diesel. I do wish that Ford would have continued running their Power Stroke. They had the baby Power Stroke and they killed it back in 2021 or 22 for whatever reason, but GM has made theirs better, right? And it's a really nice engine. It's really quiet and it still sounds like an actual diesel. It sounds like a mini Cummins almost, just a little bit, right? But yeah, the tires on this truck are really nice. They handle really well. And the suspension on this truck is tuned so nicely. It really does perform like a car. I cannot wait to drive the Raptor after this one here. Now, as far as the mirrors go, I'm gonna show you guys. They don't give you any convex, but I like how high up they are. You're gonna have to keep that in mind when we drive the Ford. I always talk about that. The only downside with the GM is they don't give you a lot of information for like the temperatures. I definitely would like to see some of the temperatures for the engine, things like that. And the other manufacturers like Ram and Ford, they do that. Toyota doesn't really do it, or at least I don't know where to look for that information. But all in all, this is probably one of the best trucks on the market today. Price-wise, amenity-wise, they really have brought their A game with this off-road truck. I mean, this is really truly off-road. The Raptor is a Baja, and yeah, they should perform differently, right? So we're gonna see that too. So like I said, let's go ahead and finish off the test. I'll show you guys where we end off with the MPG, and then we'll drive that Raptor next. As far as the numbers on the door go, you guys can see gross fuel weight rating, and then all-in payload capacity is gonna be 1,449 pounds right there. Just pull back in, and I'll show you guys where we're gonna stop at. I can't stop in the middle of the road, obviously, right? So let's just go ahead and call it right here. So we're at 24.8, 15.3 miles driven. Let's go ahead and drive the Raptor. All right, guys, now we're driving the Ford, and I just need to reset the MPG. Actually, I completely forgot to do that, so let me just go ahead and do it now. So we have apples to apples for that. Okay, that's done, and let's go ahead and drive. What do you guys think about those graphics on that hood? You guys get a nice view of them right there. I don't really mind them on these types of colors and this type of truck, but on the new Shelter Green, I don't like it. I did actually do a video on one. I'm not sure I'm going to post it, but yeah, I'm not a fan of them on that truck. They should have did maybe orange for that truck color on the Shelter Green, but I definitely noticed how much louder this exhaust is too. It just backfired, by the way. Not even trying to. But my first time driving the Raptor, right behind the Chevy ZR2, you can actually tune the suspension. So I'm going to put it in sport mode right now. I have the exhaust in sport, and I'm going to actually put the steering in sport. So basically you can actually tighten everything up, or you can make everything a little bit softer if you like. And that's just going to enhance the driving experience. On the GM, you cannot do that. You can, however, if you get the 6.2 liter, you can actually make the exhaust a little bit louder if you put it in sport mode. So you do have a sport mode and an off-road mode, and I believe there's a terrain mode too. So definitely something nice. Something else I like about this Ford is you do have paddle shifters. Now, I've had sports cars in the past, and I probably would drive this like a sports car. Just be able to paddle shift the 10-speed how I want to. I think that when it's all said and done, this truck has a more aggressive stance because you have a wider body, and that's why you have the clearance lights on the front of the grille, right? I think that this truck is definitely a little bit more sportier on the road, and having the tighter steering is super nice. But you're gonna pay for all this too, so I mean, this truck is 80 grand. It doesn't have a sunroof on it, right? So that's just something to consider. Now that ZR2 I drove did not have a sunroof either. But for the most part, already right out of the gate, I can tell you that the seats in this truck, and this is just something I've said a lot, is softer. I do prefer the stiffer seat. And I noticed that because my wife and I, we have a stiffer mattress. We had a softer mattress and my back would hurt a ton. Now having the softer seats, I'm not sure if that would translate to a back problem in the future, but for the most part, I do not mind the stiffer seats. Now these seats are wider for the cushions, and I do like how both trucks have the little bit more bolstering on each side, top and bottom, and this truck definitely does have the bolstering on the top and bottom just like the ZR2 did. But yeah, the steering feel in here. I'm going to show you guys the mirrors. In the last video I did, I showed you guys on the ZR2. On this truck, you guys can see they do sit a little bit lower in comparison. So that's what I was saying. I think I like the mirrors a little bit better on the Chevrolet better. But yeah, we should be to the midpoint in a second. Let's go ahead and talk about the payload capacity on this truck. Here are the numbers on the door. Gross axle ratings, and then gross fuel weight is 7,350, and then payloads 1381. Here's the RPMs. You guys can see we're just below 2,000 RPMs. Now that's because of that rear end. When you go from a 323 to a 410, yes, you do increase that RPM that way. And Ford and GM did create this 10-speed together, right? That's something you have to remember. So at 70 miles an hour on both trucks, you can see how different the RPMs are with that rear end. But yeah, I definitely do like this truck. I don't know if I would pick this one over the ZR2 or vice versa. I think I would have to do a little bit more research because both trucks offer just about everything that you need in a package like this. You're not looking to tow with these trucks really, unless you're towing a boat maybe. I would say that if I was planning on towing a boat or something a little bit bigger than that, maybe like a 4,000 pound, 5,000 pound boat maybe, I would say is max, is what I would tow. I mean, that's just my opinion. These trucks tow more than that, but I'm just saying for my comfort level, these shorter wheelbase trucks do not tow well. This has coiled springs out back versus the Leafs on the ZR2. 16.4 MPG, 7 miles driven so far. Again, I didn't do the 0 to 60 with this truck or anything. And so we have to do that next here. And so you're gonna really see a drop in the fuel economy. So you guys can see here, if you do plan on doing a lot of highway driving, I love the Raptors, but you are gonna see a small decrease in that fuel economy. And by the way, guys, I like the exhaust on this truck. It backfires a good bit. In the comment section, if you have a Raptor, have you noticed these trucks backfiring? Like, it's done like 3 or 4 times. And it seems like when I'm decelerating and the transmission is shifting down, it's kind of popping. I'm not using the paddles, it's just doing it by itself. But yeah, it's definitely a lively exhaust, especially in the sport mode. This Raptor has a twin-turboed V6, 3.5 liter displacement. It's going to have 450 horsepower, 510 pound-feet of torque, 10-speed transmission, just like the Chevy, by the way, too. And it has a 410 rear end. Let's see how this truck accelerates to 60. Here we go.
30. 60.
That wasn't bad. 450 horsepower. We are higher above elevation, and I've confirmed that even on turbocharged engines, it does affect the acceleration for sure. But this truck sounds good. It feels really, really secure on the road. Now, the brakes in the ZR2 are more confident. These are way more touchy. So when you hit the brake pedal in the ZR2, I feel as though it doesn't dive. And this one does have those touchy brakes, so I feel like with a little bit softer suspension, it does dive a little bit. And that's even with it in the sportiest setting, right? But yeah, apart from that, I really do like this truck. I mean, I see and understand why guys are willing to pay $100,000 for a half-ton truck. And yeah, it's just really like a sports car. So if you need a truck, but you want a sports car, you get that in this package. Now if you get the ZR2 with the 6.2 liter, again, you get a truck, but you get a sports car in that same package because you have that dual stage exhaust, and the way that this suspension handles, it's just really, really next level, guys. And I mean, both trucks have pretty aggressive tires. This one has the 35s on it, so you're gonna really notice a difference, you know, in the performance. I think having more sidewall, and this has a 17-inch wheel compared to an 18 on that ZR2, this one definitely rides softer for sure because of that as well. So that's why I think GM really could go the distance with 35s from the factory. But we should be back here in a little bit. As far as the noise goes, I did not pull up my noise device, and I apologize. The ZR2 is quieter. I can tell instantly. I don't even have to, you know, pull it out. I know that there's a little bit more road noise in this truck, and I feel like there's a little bit more of a howl from the tires too. 14.9, 15.1 miles driven, not bad. Here's the breakdown for the Raptor and the ZR2. So you guys can see the fuel economy difference. The ZR2 destroyed the Ford Raptor. However, the Ford Raptor destroyed it when it came down to the performance. Now, in the future, I may do a video following this up with a 6.2 liter ZR2. And maybe, just maybe, if I can get a Raptor 37, you know, around that time too, that'd be kind of cool if it had the 6.2 liter in the ZR2 as well. Now, with that being said, you're going to save about $7,000 in comparison with a 50,000 mile driving estimate here. And here's the performance. As I said, the Raptor cleaned up here, 7.59 to 60 versus 9.27. And that doesn't seem like a lot, but that's probably about 2.5 car lengths, give or take, in that ballpark. But I definitely like the Ford Raptor. I like the adjustments that they give you. I like some of the features, like the measurements that they give you, so you can see some of the temperatures and the boost, things like that. Those are just nice features to have. You can't get that on the ZR2, but I feel as though the ZR2 with the 33s versus the 35s in the Raptor, I felt like the ZR2 just felt more stable on the road. The suspension seemed a little bit softer on the Raptor. Even when I tightened things up a little bit too, it just seemed a little bit softer in comparison. But that's probably because it's a Baja truck versus an off-road truck. But I hope you guys like the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure your bell notifications are on. See you guys soon.